Albert says, despite evidence to the contrary for a while, I've had a bad feeling that Lawlar won't be the star everyone thinks he will be. Can you help assuage these feelings? Yeah, it's a good question. I think, anytime you're putting the word star on a player who hasn't really played in the majors at all, those are high expectations. And I'm not sure that it's fair to expect Jordan Lawlar to be a star at this point. Or at any point. Like I think just in general, like you have to see it before you really, at least I have to see it before I really start to believe that any player is going to be a star in this league. I mean, how many times do we see guys come up with all sorts of hype, and then you see it in the majors and they're a fourth outfielder, or they're not really what you expected them to be. That happens in this sport a lot. I think on the positive side with Jordan Lawlar, he does some things well that I think you feel confident are going to translate. First of all, he's a good defensive shortstop. He took a really big step forward in that regard in 2023. And if you're a good defensive shortstop in AAA, you're probably going to be a good defensive shortstop in the majors. And he looked pretty good there toward the end of last year as well. And then offensively, I think there's no questions about his bat speed. There's a lot of power in there for him to tap into. I know his contact rates were maybe a little bit lower than you'd like to see in the minors last year. So yeah, there's still questions about the hit tool. There's still questions about, is it 10 homer power? Is it 30 homer power? That kind of a thing. But he also runs the bases really well. Like he might be a 70 runner who could give you 30 or 40 stolen bases. So I think the floor for Jordan Lawlar is relatively high, just given the defense, given the fact that he plays a premium position and is a great base runner. And, I think the offense is going to translate enough for him to be a solid major league player. But yeah, in terms of him being a star, I don't know if I would come out and say yes, you should be confident Jordan Lawlar will be a star. Not because I don't think he has a good chance to be, but I just don't really want to put those kind of expectations on anyone.
I think it's easy to say, oh, this guy's going to be a star when they're immediately a star, when they immediately don't give you any doubt, they don't put any of that in your head. And obviously for Lawlar last year, you only got to see him in a very small sample size of 34 plate appearances and, didn't do too much, but he was just finishing up his age 20 season. I think, if you go back and look at his age 19 season in 2022, and, he finishes the year in AA, but at each level that he moves up, you go, oh, the numbers take a little bit of a hit, but he was 19 years old. And then last year, when he finishes up before making his debut with Reno, he's almost a full 7 years younger than the average player in the Pacific Coast League. So you're right. He hasn't been like a slam dunk, no doubter, his entire development. But, when you're drafted at 18 years old out of high school, and only 2021, you're going to need a little bit of time. So, this not that I want to compare Jordan Lawlar with an all-time great, but if you're just looking at what he did in the majors and you're saying, oh, he didn't impress me, and so I just am not totally convinced he's going to be a superstar. It doesn't mean he won't be a superstar, right?
Sure.
In 2011, in 40 games, a certain someone batted 220 with a 672 OPS, which was only an 89 OPS plus, and ended up being probably the greatest player of his generation in Mike Trout. So Mike Trout came up and just barely kept that rookie eligibility, went out, won the Rookie of the Year, almost won MVP of the MVP award in 2012. And again, his first, glimpse at the show, his first opportunity, just looked okay. And so Lawlar just looks okay so far, but that by no means should totally allow you to project that he's not going to be a superstar. He might not, but nothing about what he was able to do in 2023 should really definitively allow you to believe, nope, there's definitely no way now.
That's a great point. I mean, I think even looking at prospect lists and whatnot, people aren't really losing stock in Jordan Lawlar, selling their stock in Jordan Lawlar just because of 34 bad plate appearances toward the end of the 2023 season. That's just, if you're a prospect evaluator and you react that quickly to things, you're probably not a very good prospect evaluator. And yeah, not everyone is Corbin Carroll, as Brandon said in the chat. not everyone's going to come up and, have a pretty epic like game tying double or whatever it was. And, in their major league debut, it takes time for a lot of guys, even including a lot of star level players in this league, as you talked about. So, I wouldn't, again, I'm not going to promise that Jordan Lawlar is a star. I'm not going to, necessarily expect that, but I still think he has a bright future ahead.